What's up, everyone? If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Alrighty, we are live. Okay, let's get it. Already know what it is. It's DC Incentives Podcast, and this is our anniversary. We got everyone in the building. We got everyone here, and this is the month where this is our first month. This is our anniversary, and Ifa Abeyo, she was our first guest on the podcast. So it's very, 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 very welcoming that she is back on the episode. And as we introduce to her, first, Phonetic Wisdom, talk to us real quick.
Hey y'all, it's Phonetic Wisdom. I'm a poet, spoken word artist, self-published author, curator, founder of Voices of Black Power for Black women's empowerment, for healing in mind, body, and spirit, as well as a host. So yes, that's me.
Let's get it. Nyron, talk to us.
I'm Nyron. That's it. I work for the city. I like podcasts, and I'm a part of this podcast. That's all I got.
Okay, TC, talk to us.
I'm TC. I've been here. What's going on? I've been here for a year, right? Yeah, for a whole year.
Let's get it.
Yeah, that's really it.
So we know we gotta do the drum roll like last time we did.
got jokes. You got jokes.
Oh man, you know it's a pleasure of you being on this podcast. You know that.
Thank you. I am Ifa Abeyo, priestess of Oshun and Ogun, creator of Love Supplies Botanica. It's in mother's hands now for women of domestic violence and brothers coming home from prison, as well as Conversations with Ifa Abeyo and the Back Porch Conjure for the podcast. So I'm happy to be here.
Let's go. We are necessary. That's my request. I'm sorry, that's my favorite quote. I am necessary.
Because you are. Shout out to the elder. He's no longer here. He was crowned Shango Kabosile for some years, and he shared that with me. So I share it with everyone else now.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. We are greatness. You are greatness.
You are. I'm just a reflection of you all. That's it. That's
it. Let's get it. Okay. Let's get it. Okay. So today, what we're gonna be talking about Ifa Abeyo. Take us away.
What would we want to talk about? I mean,
I got a couple questions. I got a couple questions if I can start.
Here we go. All right, come on, Byron.
Go ahead.
All right, so I've heard the word Oshun spread around the Black community for a while. Can you explain to me and maybe audience members that are ignorant of the concept of Oshun exactly what it is?
Oshun is a deity. She is an Orisha. She is the youngest of the Orishas, to be exact. There are 401 Orishas. I don't understand why everybody only worry about the first 3 or 4. And but she's the Orisha of many things. Most people see her as the Orisha of sweetness, of life, water, sweet waters, children, money. I mean, it's a plethora of things, but she is us and we are she. So,
So then what is an Orisha?
An Orisha is a deity. So let me break it down as such. Like we have in the Christian community, you have Jesus, God, and the angels, right?
Yeah, yeah. The
So
Holy Trinity.
so in Yoruba, as well as the Lukumi, you have Olodumare, which is our name for God. And then you have those that come under. Because in reality, as we see it, even though God is not busy, but you don't have to always go to him. You have other ones to go to. So it's something like that, if you want to break it down as such. You get it, or do we got to go a little
No,
deeper?
I'm sure as we explore who you are, we get deeper insight into the whole Orisha concept and
Yes.
Oshun specifically. I just, like for me, like the first time I was ever introduced to Oshun was, I think, Spike Lee. She's Gotta Have It, like the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When they went to Puerto Rico, that was the first time
Yeah.
I've ever seen Oshun, and I did a little bit of research, but it's great to talk to somebody that's deep into the culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 5 years initiated. When I did y'all, I was when I spoke to him the first time I did his speaking engagement, Diamond. I had just came out from being a Yahoo. That was like 5 years ago. Yeah, on Jamaica Ave. So yeah, I just finished being a Yahoo. So yeah. I mean, questions like.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So let's because I remember in that conversation you wanted to talk about life and spirituality and everything. So give us a recent update on what do you think about what life, present life, and what the future is ahead of us.
Okay, so before I get to you, this beautiful sister said she had a question. So go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Nope.
I wanted to ask, what was the sign for you to become initiated into the Orisha? Like, what happened that you said this is where my calling is?
I was dying. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and they wanted me to get on hospice. And my godmother and all of them was like, let me save your life. My twin, I'm a twin in the religion. So you would call us the Maguas. So my twin and my other god sister came together. They paid $12,600 and
American
got
dollars?
crowned $12,600. And me and my twin got crowned together. Yeah.
Wow.
So I can save my life, so I can be here. Alegua, Mafeda Funa Alegua, Mafeda Funa Orisha saved my life. They said they would heal me and make sure I'm here. And I am here.
Beautiful.
So that was the sign.
Beautiful.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that at all.
That's a lot.
Did you have to petition Baba Luaye?
No, I didn't, believe it or not, even though I have to receive him, but I didn't. It was Alegua that stood up and said, I will make sure you're healed from everyone.
To open that crossroad for you.
Not even to open the crossroad. He just said he would heal me because I give so much love to him. As well as Shango Cabo Sile. So, but yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
So,
glad you're here.
So am I. I'm glad that they're here. I'm sitting in the room looking at all of them. So I'm glad that they're here. So yes. And for Egun. I can't ever forget Egun. Egun is another word for ancestors. So if you hear me say it, that's what I'm saying. We say Mafadafun, which is blessings of the highest, to Egun. Bobo Egun is all your ancestors. So, yeah. Any questions so far? Go ahead.
I got like tons. I don't know what to jump in or not.
Go. Before we get into anything,
All right. So when I heard Oshun and when I heard your name, Ifa Abeyo, I know a little bit about the Nigerian culture because my best friend is Nigerian and I have a couple of Nigerian people that are close to me. I initially thought you were Nigerian. Do you identify as so then where did you come up with the name Ifa Abeyo?
Okay, so there are different ceremonies that we will have to partake in, right? So one of them was getting my kofa. that's sitting with a ruler, right? Or some people call them a rumula. And in that ceremony, they give you a signal and they give you a name. So my signal I got was Obeyono. The name I got was Ifa Abeyo. And at that moment, everybody in the room was crying. I didn't understand why they were crying. I was like, okay, it's just Ifa Abeyo. Okay. And she was like, a ruler chose you while you were in your mother's stomach. So I felt really proud to hold that name. And my godfather, Ifa Abeyo, he passed away. So I'm going to always carry that name. So that's where I got it from.
And what's the significance of the name?
It means that I was chosen one birth while I was in my mother's stomach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And have you dedicated yourself to learning Yoruba?
The language, not too much. Some, but not too much. Like all our songs and our prayers, like the Moyuba and stuff, is all in Yoruba. So you're going to learn it or learn a little bit no matter what. It just comes with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, somebody else take it away.
Go
Else I'm just going to talk her ear off, I promise.
Okay. That's what I'm here for.
I was
forgot. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead,
well, I was
Fanatic.
thinking I love that that's like what it means.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to be clear. You're initiated through the Yoruba.
No, I'm initiated. Well, you have two sets
Mhm.
of
Okay.
well, you have a lot of sets of the ATR.
I know it's a lot.
So mine is I come under the Lukumi, right?
Okay, yeah.
But Criollo. So it's more out of Cuba. And
Okay.
but my godfather Ifa Abeyo, he speaks both. He speaks Yoruba, he speaks Spanish. So, he's my godfather in Ifa.
Okay, because I know when it comes to Yoruba, that goes back to Nigeria. But I did hear you say Lukumi, but I couldn't remember where Lukumi connected back to.
Cuba.
Okay.
So it's all, listen, the
Mhm.
same way they talk about Cuba and Puerto Rico, it's just two wings on one bird. It's all the same. We still have to give respect to our Egons. We have to give respect to Orisha. We have to give respect to our parents. We have to give respect to everyone gets respect. And it's the breaking down of us to build us as a complete human being. Iwapele, good character. It's your character you're born with. It's your character you're going to die with. So it teaches us, how to help ourselves, our family, and our community, and then the world. Yeah.
And what was like a profound lesson that you felt like you had to learn in being a child of Oshun?
Heavy the head that wears the crown. Everybody loves calling themselves children of Oshun. And they wear the gold, and you'll see it with all the yellow and all of that. It's funny to me. I think it's beautiful, but it doesn't come without a price. Oshun children. I mean, some people call us the yellow people. They be like, oh, they so crazy, they mean, they got anger issues. But at the end of the day, we're children of. So we still bring our own, characteristics and everything. She's our crown and respect to her, always. So yeah, the main lesson is heavy the head that wears that crown. Because it doesn't come without. But yeah, anyway, go ahead. Any other questions?
So I forgot my last question, so I'm just going to
About life. About life.
Yeah. So conversation. So the last podcast, I know we talked about healing. We talked about going through life, and we talked about a lot. And I know we went 3 hours.
3 hours?
As you can see, as you can see, it's a mental war out here. I mean, people are now, if you get bullied, now it's okay to go shoot up things. It should be safe. Now, back in my day, I've heard of schools being shot up, but supermarkets, hospitals, because the doctor didn't do right for service. I mean, it's scary out there now because people want to be seen, and then you have all these triggers that are coming up. Oh, I wasn't raised right. My parents didn't do this. I didn't get enough love. So it's a lot that's going on, and people are lashing out. And instead of, back in the day, you would sit down and talk. That went out the window. Now people are not talking no more.
And the
Is
thing
that true? I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that idea that people used to talk back in the day. I'm pretty sure the stereotype was that there were a lot of suppressed feelings and emotions that were expected of the older generations. And I think today might be symptomatic of us reconciling the fact that for the first time, like maybe through social media, maybe through the advent of just more information being pushed out there, that we're confronting the methods on how to deal with these feelings for perhaps the very first time. And, we might see an ugly sporadic result like shootings, result from victimization from years ago, Well, that's just my perspective on it.
And that's okay. We all have it. But the era that I came from, right? I'm 50 something years old. The era I came from, we would sit down and talk. Back in the day, there wasn't no jumping. You would put my father and them used to make my brothers and them, they had a disagreement. You put your boxing gloves on and you take it to the street, one-on-one, right? Awesome. Get it out. And then you shook hands like men and you moved on. That was it. Yeah. But did they do everything they could? Well, at that moment, what they worked with, they had to make the best out of what they had. Mm-hmm. Remember, those times back there were different. It was safer to walk through the streets. If you were in South Jamaica and Queens, the drug dealers in them, they would throw money out to the kids if you had good grades. They would take the moms to Red Lobster on the bus. Those days ain't happening no more. Did we glorify the drug dealers? Yeah, we did. We did. Can't lie. We did. Did we glorify the prostitutes? Yes. My best friend TC was a prostitute. During the night, she was 15 years old. But during the day, she went to school. Was it bad? Was it good? No. But what we had to work with back then, we had no choice. Real talk. We didn't have no choice.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Even those examples. I mean, instead of communicating with your feelings through verbal communication, the communication stemmed from violence, right? Like you guys have to literally fight it out and then shake your hands as men. What gets resolved with that?
Well, back then, right? Coming from that era, back then it was, if you were angry or whatever, you fought it out, because it's either you fight out in front of adults or you could get hurt. Like my friends would jump your friends. I lost a lot of friends in ISA from jumping. There was a girl that, because she didn't, co-sign with the other girls and she wasn't in the cool clique, she wasn't a bully, they jumped her. But it was back then where now they call it a whole new different supermarket, but it was Met's and it was Kifu. So she ran into the supermarket and hoping that she would be safe. They cut up. She died. So a mother lost her child. So what do parents have to deal with? My kids getting jumped out in the street, or you fight in a circle where we're all here and you fight one-on-one. So that's what I'm saying. The things that they were against, was it right? No, not all the time. That's true. But they had to work with what they had, the resources and all that. The things they have now, back in those days, they never had that. They didn't have those things. So it didn't fuck some of us up? Yeah, it did. It did. When the crack era came and everything else, it did. It screwed us up. But are we paying for it? Yeah. Back in the day, you wouldn't hear of nobody shooting up a school in the black community. Mothers will whoop you. First of all, I got to get off of work. I'm working for my paycheck, for my welfare check. I got to buy these food stamps with cash. You're going to go to school and act a fool? What? They would tear you up. Ain't nobody bringing no guns or nothing at the school to shoot it up because you didn't like me. We played the dozens back in the day. We talked about your mama, your grandmother, your gay brother. We didn't care. It was nothing off limit. But we didn't have to worry about bullies or anything like that. This era, no. Everything is triggered. You got to be careful of what you say. All of that now. It's instead of using your voice, now it's either you're canceled or I'm gonna shoot you. That's the only two things: cancel or shoot. Take your pick.
And the crazy thing is why it's so dangerous nowadays, because things are so easy to access now.
The 12-year-old that shot up, that went to go rob a gas station.
Just not too long ago, Philadelphia just had a shootout today. It's crazy. It shows you how easy it is to get a gun versus
it is. Hey, gun laws are horrible.
Yeah, like back in the day, you could get a gun, but come on, compared to now, it's different. And let's be honest, and excuse my language, we're
Mhm.
all pussies at the end of the day in this era.
Mhm.
We're all pussies. We're all
Yeah,
fighting behind a computer. There's no
yeah.
such thing as talking our feelings because guess what? This generation wasn't taught that, especially
Mm-mm.
in our community,
Mm-mm.
especially in us men. We even know how to express our own emotions, but we know how
And,
to get it done.
and that's the sad part because if a guy or a brother was to cry, we would label him as gay. You
Exactly.
know, as soft. What
Yeah.
the fuck you crying? Because I remember, no talk. I always keep it real. When my son asked me, like, yo, you ain't no girl, don't cry. But instead of us saying, yo, we scared, because those streets out there are dangerous, I
Yeah.
don't need you to be vulnerable. So, now I'm happy that he got to a point was like, Mom, you can't say that to me, like for real. So, and yeah, and I had to apologize and make adjustments, as well as my niece, because that's the era we was raised. Men don't cry. Men don't share their feelings. You hold it in and you go and do what you got to do. But that's the worst in the world,
Yeah.
And the community where I come from in Queens, where they had to change it because God bless the dead. When Ricky Choker, here's a dude that's like the strong dude. He committed suicide. Like, yo, what are you going through where you gonna take your life? But we don't know the battles and the demons people fight because it's wrong to express that. Because if you do, God forbid, you fresh meat out there in them streets.
Yeah.
I can't go and be like, yo, my mother treated me bad. What?
Yeah.
Not
Mhm.
selling drugs or being out there hustling. They will beat you to death.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is scary times.
Yeah.
I think my question would be like, you being on your spiritual journey,
Mhm.
were there like messages that came to you about how we've degenerated as a people? So,
I'm
you
not
know,
gonna say degenerated because I met this young lady and her daughter was sick. Her daughter was sick. Her daughter was dying. And she wasn't in our religion. She was a Christian. She can recite the Bible back and forth, all of that. And the grandmother stepped up and said, because she didn't have the money to initiate her daughter, to save her daughter's life. And the community came together. So I can't say that they don't come together. I can't say that we have fallen. All I can say that, but at this day and age, healing doesn't always look pretty. And I'm happy that the scabs are being pulled off and things are coming out into light. Things that been happening in the world forever. We just have now a lens to see it because we have social media. And instead of people helping, they pull out their phones and start video and shit. So you see it now. And it's nothing, that's scary. It's nothing that's scary if you've been out there. If you've been out there, it's not scary. But healing doesn't look pretty. But it's healing now. Now it's healing, and the communities are coming together one by one. They're coming together.
mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
as fast.
Mr. Abeyo, I think I have to agree with you on that. I think us that are part of the African diaspora,
Mhm.
especially in the United States, are still in a perpetual state of convalescence due to, you know, the amount of setbacks that the American government has provided to us.
Mhm.
And as a result, what might look like degeneration in the form of exposure of all these violent acts among our people, I think the first thing you have to do is expose a wound before you can fix the wound. And I think what we're right now in is in a state of exposure
Mhm.
about all of the plight that
Mhm.
we experience.
And it is. It's. Yeah, I think of my life and I think of where I came from and where I'm at now. Like when I was young, I was pimping girls, selling drugs. So I hung out in the street. I was a part of the street, and I'm happy for the transition. I'm happy for the women that's saying, hey, D, you got to change because you got kids now. You got daughters. You soon you gotta have grandkids. So to change my life from being out there, from being locked up, from going through all these things, it is amazing, So, and to expose the wounds, to see healing. Like I said, healing is never pretty on no level. It is never pretty, you know. So it comes with work, it comes with dedication, consistency, discipline, focus, acceptance, accountability. Comes with all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, that's what it's all about. All right, so I remember in the last podcast we've talked about your health
Mm-hmm.
and last time, remember, like what advice would you give now?
Take care of your health. Don't go to doctors. Eat right. What? Leave me alone. Take care of your health, man. Health is wealth. I've seen people get all this money and they can't spend it because they sick as shit. So take care of your health. Oh my God, do yoga, walk, drink water, like really vitamins and minerals. Like I said, we didn't have all this access back then. I was born with the shit that makes your bones. I always talk about it, and it's so crazy. Arthritis. I was born with arthritis, right?
You were
So
born
over the
with arthritis?
years, huh?
You were born with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility. The same way you
Yeah.
could be born with diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born with it.
Oh, I think we lost.
Oh,
No, we're here.
Yeah, you will. Back then, they didn't have all of the things they have now. So over the years, me hanging out, partying, and all of that, your bones start degenerating too. And look at the schools. They tell us the basic thing is to drinking milk and eating fruit. Milk is killing us. It's pulse. It's not
made for us.
It's not. So. And they didn't know. They really did not know. They really did not know. They didn't have a clue. So, by all means, take care of your health is wealth. Health and peace is the new wealth right now in the world. For real.
Money.
So as somebody that follows Oshun, do you have any sort of strict dietary codes that sort of perpetuate the ideas of health?
But we call them taboos, right? We call them taboos.
Okay.
And it is things that you can't do. So I can't drink coffee.
Really?
I know, right? I said the same.
I mean, I don't care about
Yeah,
coffee,
like,
but I did read a bit about it.
God.
I think I read pumpkin was a thing that y'all.
Oh no, she didn't take pumpkin away from me. God bless her.
Okay.
It was Sean Gold. God bless you later. Took pumpkin.
Okay.
Is it coffee or anything caffeine related?
Caffeine related and coffee. I was so hurt. Oh my God.
Even like
everybody in the
tea?
room was crying with me. It was so, oh my God.
So even the green tea you can't drink?
No, I drink green tea, but decaffeinated.
Oh,
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And what's the reason for the caffeine?
Well, one is it makes you jittery, so it's not healthy for you. And then, to be honest, I was drinking like 14 cups of coffee a day.
I'm sorry, you said 14?
Wow. Oshun saved
14
you.
cups. So she
Saved your nervous system.
She did what? But I would drink and I'm talking about big cups. I didn't drink. I was drinking big cups.
Super size.
So I would go into the bodegas and they had the big styrofoam cups that you could get like juice. It was full of coffee. Oh, wow. And I could drink coffee at night and still go to sleep and everything. So yeah, they took it away. They took that away. They took away heads and tails. So anything that have a head on, anything that got a tail on, I can't eat. Like the good part of the hero bread, that first one, I can't eat that. I was like, what? I can't eat watermelon. I ain't care. I can't eat watermelon.
Is it because it just makes us look bad as black people?
No,
Is that the reason why?
I can't eat anything that belongs to Yemaya. I have to always respect Yemaya's foods. So I
Wow.
can't.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I'm like, Oshun is basically the daughter of Yema. Well, it depends on, I guess, story. I've heard different stories.
They're sisters.
Yeah. So y'all call that patakis? Right?
Yes, Patakis, stories, odus. Yeah, that is correct.
So what does your diet mainly consist of?
I eat food, if I took anything dairy, like, I can't eat cheese, so I eat vegan cheese. My godfather used to always say, cheese is cheese. But as long as you don't overindulge, but coffee, liquor, smoking, they took that away. I eat that, I die. So when they put death at the end, I respect it. I ain't eating it. Yeah, I can't drink. I can't be around alcoholics, people that drink. I can't have liquor in my house. So it's a
Because
lot.
You can't even have it in your house, not
No, I
even as a
can't.
decorative.
No. And if I do, I have to put it next to a batala, so it can always have a cool head. So, but yeah, no, can't smoke and drink in my house. It's like no, can't do it. But yeah,
How long have you been on this diet?
for 5 years.
And how's your health?
I'm okay. I'm good. I'm here. I'm talking to you.
I am
Like,
necessary.
like, did the doctor, like, I don't know the last time you went to the doctor, but did the doctor
No,
go,
I was
my
going to
God,
the doctor. I don't play that.
you're remarkably healthy now?
Yeah, well, that's why I have to always stay on top of it, and make sure and choose, whatever's in my mouth that goes in my stomach. I have to choose what I'm eating, and I can't eat at people's house. But I understand, right? So real talk, I got to share this. A ruler told me I can't eat in no one's house, right? So I go down to Atlanta. I go to my friend's house. God bless his day. He passed away. And I was like, well, I'm going to the supermarket with him, so they can't be doing anything poison. That's how I thought. Like, oh, maybe people would try to poison me. So, okay. So we go, we get the food, we eating. He takes his plate and put it down to his dog, and his dog is cleaning the plate. So I was like, okay, I didn't think nothing of it. That's his dog, his plate. Okay. So then my other friend put his plate down. And I was like, yeah, see that look that TC getting like, okay. And then,
because no.
I got finished, right? They took my plate and put it down. I said, wow, y'all must be paying a lot of money on bleach. He was like, no, the dog cleaned the dishes. All my food was ready to come up. I had to call my friend Terrence. Was like, yo, come get me before I beat everybody up in this fucking house. For real. But you would think I would learn my lesson because my godmother was like, I told you, you cannot eat at people's house. So I went to a good friend's house and he made some shrimp and grits. And I wanted it so bad. I was like, oh my God, can I get some? He's like, yeah, let the dog finish licking it. I said, never mind. So a ruler told me I can't eat in no one's house. I can't. So I don't eat at nobody's.
Mama still be telling me not to eat at people's house. I think I'm a
ruler. And it's not that they are trying to poison you, but people have their own way of doing things. You cannot see behind walls. So, and it's a lesson learned.
Yeah. And what's so funny? It's not funny that you say that, but like my mom been telling me like, don't eat food from anybody. Like she's very serious about not eating food from anybody. I'm like, Mom, I don't know anybody. But like I realized, like as I went deeper into my spiritual journey, I asked why too much. Like I don't need to know why all the time. And then if you're trying to figure out why, certain things, but I'm the why person. Like I overdo it.
I tell my guys,
so it's like
ask because especially I wasn't raised in this religion. I wasn't raised in this culture. I hung in the street. The only people we saw in white were ushers and the voodoo workers, the hoodoo workers. That's it. So I didn't know anything about Lukumi or the Risha or anything. So I ask questions. I always ask, like, okay, why does that do? Because at the end, I want to make sure my grandkids understand it too. I hear stories where people go, oh, my grandmother or my people, they were in it, but I didn't know about it. No, when my kids come in here, they greet Oshun, they greet their Risha, they greet Egun, they know how to Moyuba, they're learning, they don't pronounce the words totally too much, but they get it, they understand, they come with respect and reverence, they know how to forebelly, they know how to throw themselves. So, I want to make sure that they get it because I don't want them to be scared of it. I don't want nobody else to put fear in. My grandson, he's 20. When he was in school, they told him, you were born in sin. He was like, nah, I was born divine. I was divinely created. So when the teacher was like, oh, no, you're being disrespectful. And he said, okay, don't call my mother, call my grandmother. And then I was in all white. When that lady saw me walk through the door, she said, never mind. He's right. Yeah, ma, because I'm going to come. I'm coming. Like, no, I'm not going to tell my grandson he was born in sin. We're not doing that. We're not. I don't have anything against Christians. My brother's a preacher. I respect it. But what we're not going to do is sit here and just annihilate or erase our history. We're not going to do that. No.
Yeah. No, I agree with the need to ask questions for knowledge. But for me, I want to know too much sometimes. And I know I can't know everything. So I think for me, it's about a matter of just having faith when I get a message. trust the message, and you will see why. Because in all time, things will be revealed. But for me, that's why I said like I'm too why. Because I was the kid like I want to know answer everything. Tell me everything.
My godmother used to always say, I will tell you what. The only thing I tell my god kids, I'm not going to tell you of the ceremony. But I'm going to teach you about Egon, Orisha, going to let you know what's a Babalao, what's an Aluo, who is a Oriate, who's a Oba, who's a Olarisha, you know. So I'm going to teach you these things so you'll know. And how to greet people, you know, when you see a Santera or you see a priestess or priestess, you know, in the Lukumi way, you say Benician, they return with Santo. So it's a greeting of. And they know when they go into people's houses, have a skirt, you know, and be respectful. So it is. It's a lot that goes with it, but it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. But definitely ask questions because you won't know. I come from a teaching house, so you better ask questions because they sure gonna quiz you in the end. And you be sitting there like, I ask all questions. Trust me, I ask all questions.
I'm one of those.
I will ask all.
Yeah. That's important. That's important. What I had wanted to ask was, did you ever learn, did it come to you that the cervical cancer was also a byproduct of the way you was living in the streets? Because I know you said at one point, you know, you killed women. And cervical cancer and I thought about that.
I lived it up. I partied. I did all that. So, you know, I couldn't complain. I was just... There's a certain part of the ceremony where you pray for what you want. And everybody was sitting there and it was like, yo, I want this, I want that. I was like, shit, at the end of the day. But I said it in my head. I was like, I just want to live to see my grandkids grow up, to see them have functioning lives. And when I sat on the mat, Allegro said, I'm going to heal you of everything that is wrong with you. And everybody in the room started crying. So I didn't voice it. You know, I said it in my head. So it was all of my doing, but I'm grateful that they decided that I was somebody to save. So I'm here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. What you got now, Ron? Because I know you got something. I know you got something. Look, let me just get to it because I love that look. That look be like, you know, you
Nyron's going to ask you a million questions.
That's okay. That look. Your face tells everything. Oh my God, your face tells everything. It does.
I'm just here, but Rich, you wanted something to say?
Nyron. I got two questions for the wonderful goddess, but we're gonna go ahead.
All right, so talk to me about your churches. Do you guys have a version of a church? You have a prayer center? How does that work?
Oh no, we have drummings and bimbes and oh my God, we have ceremonies and these drummings are so beautiful. Everybody being all white and they have their beads on. Oh my God, it is
the most. What was the word you used?
Bimbes, drummings.
Drummings.
Yes. So everybody comes together and they play like real drums. They play. We play to Egon. They say prayers and everybody walks in. Even people for their first time, because I've took a lot of people to drummings. And when they come, it's so beautiful. That's our version of church. It's not church because I don't want to confuse the two. But if you put it as so, that would be it. And
so there's no designated building or anything? Is it
no, sometimes you can have it in your house. Sometimes people have it in their shops. You can have it outside. Like there's no set place.
Okay, and is it weekly or is it a spur of the moment thing?
Whenever you hear a drumming, if you want to go and support maybe your godparents or your god sisters or maybe someone that's in the religion that, you know, they invite you and you go, you know, and that's it.
It sounds like, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
It is, you know, and you come and, you know, you give your respect and we should come down and people get messages, you get readings, you know, what's going on in your life. Sometimes you don't get a reading. And I always say no news is good news because that means your life is going great. If they ain't coming over there because when a moon comes down, he's coming down to whoop your ass. So when my father come down, I'll be like, okay, he just stands in front of me, give me love. I must be doing something good. Let me get my ass on over here. For real, because when he come down, it's so funny because people be scattering. It's like turning on light and the roaches be leaving. You be like, what the fuck? They be like, oh, goons down. So, you know, and they come down. They come down on their children, or they say horses, or, you know, the people that they chose. And it's very beautiful. It's scary to some because I've had a lot of people go, oh yeah, I seen it on Facebook, I seen it on YouTube, I'm gonna go. So I had this one brother, I took him because when I was getting initiated, I couldn't explain it to him. So I told him, I said, when I finish and the next drumming, I'll take you. So there was a person being initiated and their crown was Yemaya, and I took him. And he was so scared, he went home and clammed in bed because that energy is so overwhelming. It is different. It is, you can't even express it. Like it is. When I took my god sister the first time, you know, she was like, can we go? I said, girl, I ain't bring you nowhere so you can get hurt. Come on. And it's overwhelming, but it's beautiful. It's different. It's a different energy. It's a different vibe, but it's all love. It is all love. Can you imagine a whole bunch of people of different races, different ethnic, everything, and they're just there on one accord to give respect and honor to whoever, you know, the drumming is for. So yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
So you said different races. Do you mean you don't have to be black to be part of
Not
Oshun?
at all. Not at
What?
all. Not at all. A ruler went all over the world. Over in China, there's a Yoruba house. When I was getting initiated, I was out in the street, and when you go outside, you have to have a chaperone. So I had my friend whenever I went to Whole Foods out in the city, and this guy, he was Hindu, and he was like, yeah, whoa. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like, you know, I will. And he was like, you know, Mafeta Funa Legua. He was the child of a Legua. I saw a white girl, Becky, with the long hair. She was the child of Oshun. Because people were in the store and it was like, okay, it is somebody else in all white. And when the guy was like, I guess you looking for her. And I was like, yeah, whoa. She was like, yeah, whoa. And I was like, your crown? She was like, Oshun. I was like, Mafeta Funa. So, you know, they come from all over. There's no... Arula welcomes everybody to the mat. Orisha, I can't say who Orisha to choose. We're all born with our guardian. So it's not just for one person, even though all the races feel it just belongs to them. But everybody's welcome at the mat.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That would be so strange to see.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's... I think it just stems from my internal desire to see a religion that's African in its totality, something that is just specifically for us.
But it is for us, but it's for everyone. Arula didn't like even when Arula's brother was looking for help and he was gay, and they turned him away. Arula told everyone, you can't turn anyone away from the mat. If they're coming for help, you have to help them. Ego, all of that other stuff, you got to put that to the side. They need help. So we call ourselves priestesses, healers, teachers, and all of that. It's so sad. This is the sad part of this. We want to heal the world, but we won't heal the very family members that we got in front of us. We won't talk to our mama, our cousins, our uncles. You know, we won't heal them, but we want to go outside and heal the world. We want to heal everybody. But the world should start with your very family. That's your world when you're born in. So, but we won't do that. And then we exclude everybody out. Oh, you're not the right color. There's a house that's in North Carolina where they do the bag test. If you are darker than the bag, you can't get initiated in their house. That's some shit. That's horrible. If you don't have a college degree, you can't be in their Ifa house. So it's sad because that's not how it is. I had a Luo, Babalao, tell me, I don't read anyone that ever been to jail. I said, come on, son, let's go. He said, what? I said, well, I've been to jail, so you can't help me. Bye. And it's sad because you shouldn't turn anyone away. If I'm seeking help, now you're gonna put these stigmas on me, or you're gonna put all of these different taboos and all of this to tell me you can't help me. Because I'm a female, because I'm black, because I'm gay, or because I'm straight, because I shot somebody, because I sold drugs. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That you can't do. But people do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Actually, yeah. I remember reading a book by this priest about Yamaya, and he was being told because he was gay that he was gonna die. And I mean, he never died, but it was just that rejection because of his sexual preference that he could not be one with return to his God self in a sense.
Isn't
And
that
yeah, I think it's like it's kind of like being like a gang, like where it's like, well, no, your colors don't suit us. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's an egotistical thing. When you are returning to your spiritual self, you have to be able to overcome what society has placed on your mind as division, because in God there is no division. That separation is the illusion. So
Mhm.
it's like, even if we really think about it historically, any other race is our children. Like, they are of us and came from us. So who are we to truly turn them away?
But we do. We really do. And people think that racism doesn't exist in spirituality. I was called a nigger. I mean, oh no, move, she's just black, move her to the side. You know, I went through, my godmother would cry. She'd be like, everybody else initiations was good. I feel bad for her. She went through the hardest. I was going to the E train on something, coming off of the Long Island Railroad. This chick from Africa, her and her friend really tried to do a whole exorcism with me while I was in the elevator. I was sitting there looking at them like, she was like, oh, the power of Christ compel you. I said, if this chick pour water on me, I'm going to forget I'm a young war and I'm going to beat them. But she was like, oh, you're going to hell. We don't practice this in Africa. They're lying to you. And I'm like, looking at her like, man, why? Why?
No, colorism is a monster, especially in the black community. I think the only encounter I faced with colorism, I was working for a transportation company, and I was just about done with college, and my truck had broken down.
Mhm.
So manager comes, he's driving back, and we're talking, and he's figuring out who I am a little bit, and he goes, "So wait a minute. You're light skinned and you got a couple college degrees. I need you to date my daughters." You know, he was telling
Wow.
me about all these things about, like about targeting light skinned people, so that because he was a darker skinned man and he chose a light skinned wife who was a lawyer, and he had some light skinned kids, and he wanted to keep that going. And because I was tall and handsome and light skinned and educated, like I fit the bill. But it was like being light skinned was the main thing, and it was, quite frankly, it was I was shocked and disgusted. Um,
That's
yeah.
very disgusting.
They listen, you have people that it was a girl that wrote on a post, if you're dark skinned, Oshun will curse you. Because when people think of Oshun, they think of this light skinned woman that with this long hair and all this gold. I was like, no, Bo, that's not how it works at all. At all, it doesn't work that way. So you run into light skinned chicks and they be like, oh yeah, I'm Oshun. And then they look at me and go, you must be Yemaya. I know you lying, girl.
Wow.
I know you lying. But yeah, they see Yemaya as this big, dark-skinned, thick girl, and Oshun is very thin and very light-skinned and very eloquent. And then Oya is like, she's in between, and all she want to do is fight. And I'm like, y'all got it so backwards. And it's sad, you know?
Yeah.
It broke my heart because this was a dark skinned, you relatively handsome man. He could have gotten anybody, but he had it warped in his head that he had to have a light skinned wife, and his children have to have light skinned husbands. And it was. I wept internally when he dropped me off, because how many people think like that? You know what I mean? Yeah.
A lot. Believe it or not, a lot. A lot. A hell of a
Even
lot.
know that way.
People see me, the first thing they say, they won't say, oh, she's the daughter of Oshun. They be like, oh, you're my yah, right? And I'll be like, shade? For real? Are you really going to come for me? Because you don't want to come for me. Like,
There's a lot of shadiness in the spiritual community.
It is. It
It's
really
pretty
is.
sad.
It
But
is.
we also have to remember, like, Black, especially Africa, that's where the colonization started.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
that's where the brainwashing was incepted.
You
So,
see where they bleach their skin.
yeah, overstanding, like, they were taught to hate themselves first because the colonizer understood that's the motherland, that's where it originates. So if we can get them, then we already got everybody else.
We also get a lot with Jamaicans too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, my mother still. Like, she probably still gonna tell me just out this time.
Dominicans too. Even when I went over to Haiti, they had like the colorism is so sad over there because you'll have beautiful Haitian women and they'll come over here and be like, "No, I'm Dominican." No, you're not. You Haitian. Why you hating your color? You know.
Well, that has a long history in and of itself with Daniel Trujillo.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. I think I cut somebody off. What were you saying, Miss Wisdom?
I think we started talking at the same time. It's like a delay.
Oh, okay.
But, no, I was just saying, like, it's even crazier that it's one island and then it was split by four to divide these people against each other, and y'all are the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so true.
So it's just, they understood divide and conquer. And
they had it down to a science.
Yeah.
And they used the things that we assumed, because you got to remember, people of color, we are so forgiving. We are so welcoming. We imagine if we really did want to seek revenge and do them like they do us. It'd be a slaughter. It would be horrible, But instead, we'll forgive. We are the most forgiving race in the fucking world. We will. We will forgive. Listen, people still listen to R. Kelly. They still do all of that. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road.
Listen,
I don't know.
This is no. Real talk. I remember when I was playing, right? I was playing R. Kelly. So my niece goes, "You listen to R. Kelly?" I said, "When you go to school, do you still sing the Star Spangled Banner?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I rest my case. Because if you can still do all of that and still go on, then you should not." R. Kelly didn't even get close to half of the shit that man did. So
it's a hell of an argument.
That is.
So if you still are singing all those things and still saluting that goddamn flag, then my father was more. So we didn't have no other choice but to learn who we were when we were young. So I grew up in y'all say dysfunctional, I say a very colorful household. Here my mother's from Amen, Louisiana, the little voodoo beachy lady. And here my father is a Moore from Asheville, North Carolina. So we had a whole new different upbringing. We couldn't even stand up and salute the flag. We had to sit down. We couldn't even be a part of February for Black History Month. My father would go off. "What? You a part of what?" And we'd be like, "Yeah, we want to be." "No, sit down." So we had to be quiet in February. So yeah, we grew up in a colorful house. In a real
quiet in February now. People are like, "You're not gonna post nothing?" I said, "I'm Black all day, every day. What's the point?" But it's true. It's so many different perspectives and cultures, ideologies that we've been brought up under, and it all leads back to one. So just being able to have that understanding of reality, like,
listen, I got a 0 in school when Roots came out.
Oh boy.
My father said, "You will not," because we had to do a paper on it. I couldn't do one. So my teacher, she was like upset. He said, "My daughter is not going to write about a white man's history." They sat there and got on me. "No, you cannot do that. You have to let her study and she'll get in, she's going to fail." My father said, "She'll take that failure. She's not writing a white man history." It is years later that now they found out that Alex Haley had shit to do with it. That was that white man story that he put out there. And I was like, I should go back and find my goddamn teacher and tell her, "You owe me a ass. You owe me a grade." I should beat her up. She owe me. The Board of Education owe me a check. I always say that. Y'all owe me a check. Y'all knew y'all was wrong. My pops was on point. But yeah, he came up there and he was like, "No, she's not going to write this." And years later, 20, damn near 30 years later, they come to find out that wasn't even that man's story. That was a white man's story that they paid for. And the brother, the elder, Dick Gregory, Ifa, he made sure that he had proof to show all of this. And it was so sad. It was so sad. I think Board of Education owe me money. They owe us a lot of money because they didn't teach us shit. Nothing. Nothing.
Well, I mean, you gotta
I
give
love
some,
them. No.
the education, credit though. They taught us math, they taught us reading, they taught us
And then they taught
When it
English.
came down to our history,
was the one in charge of it.
all we knew was he did the peanut and Martin Luther King said a great speech. That's it. That's all.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to disagree with that contention.
Why?
I think the education system is flawed, but
It's dead.
it's because of the education system that I can make so many different references to so many historical figures, like Marcus Aurelius, or if you want to go back to the continent, Thomas and Nkrumah. I think relatively, I'm a pretty well-spoken man, and I credit the education system for that. Hell, I'm damn near bilingual, and the reason why my foundation for Spanish is so strong is because of what I learned through the educational system. I'm not going to deny that it's flawed, but if you take advantage of it, it does have some benefit.
No, it does. Let me correct that part, because they gave you access to things that we weren't having access to, especially in the Black communities. Our libraries was limited. We didn't have a lot of books and things like that you can get when you were in school, especially in college. Because when I used to go up to Hunter and hang out with people, never was a student. Nobody never knew. I love Dr. Gerald Deeds for just sitting there saying, Donna, you guys don't belong here. That's okay. But the books that they had access to, I would have never had that ever in a million years. But I also made my best money in college. So, I also use that for. Because I used to always, no, for real. And it's sad because even to not change the subject, but to prepare people for life, parents do not really prepare their children for college, especially children of color. I make my best money in colleges because these young girls and these young guys would go there and they're not used to living on their own. Oh man, I made a lot of money. I did. No shade. Because everybody wanted to be a part of something. Even when I went down to Atlanta and we opened up a smoke shop, all we had to do was go up to the colleges and get the popular kids and let them smoke hookah. And everybody else started smoking hookah. I was like, okay. But that's how, and Billy and me used to be like, yo, why are we going to college? Because we're going to make the most money off of this right here. And it is, because they don't prepare them. Not everybody. Some kids, yeah, but not everybody. Not everybody. Education is selective history, okay.
Shout out to Aquarius Queen.
Yeah.
Of the education system in America teaches selective American history.
Wow.
Man.
And what they want to claim are facts. It's up to us to learn about our history and pass it down. Mm-hmm. My elders never gave me any information about where I come from. School taught me more than what my family would.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, because what did they learn? Remember, there was a point in history where it was illegal for them to read. And so they learn in secrecy. And the educational system, I feel like the only reason we were able to learn and gather information was because our own willpower.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, people were shaming you for not reading Roots. I have Roots and I still never read it. And sometimes I don't understand why I'm not interested in stuff. But I feel like my spirit just know something's not right there. Mm-hmm. But then it's this social pressure. Like, how do you not know that? Why don't you know that? And then when you go further back in history, you realize that was a farce created by the Caucasians to trick us out of the reality of our history. And then when we take the time to really realize how far back history goes that they would never teach us, you realize that you ain't even learning 1% of what's real for you as a melanated being. So it's just the only value that I feel education ever gave to me is the ability to connect the dots on my own accord, because I was always self-taught. Once I credit my parents for giving me a computer when I was 7 or 8. Any little thing I didn't have to ask because I'm a Google. And back then I feel like it was even the information was a bit more pure because it wasn't as much censorship. Now it's you have people searching up information, and now anybody and everybody can go on the internet and say anything about anything, and it's a shit show.
It is. It is.
It's a shit
But
show.
it's sad because okay, so when my kids was coming up, we lived in Atlanta for 20 years. It's still, I still have to stand on that. I love you putting, but the education really is it's limited because they even had book burnings. I was like, who the fuck does that? Where my kids and them, they had burnt the books of Harry Potter in them because it wasn't right. It wasn't, So yeah, and these was teachers. So part of it, yeah. They're lie about white history. Yeah.
Well,
now, did you know they took Black history out of schools? Now I went to Barnes and Nobles, and you have the African American section. Now they changed it. It's not the African American. It is world population, and I'm sitting there like, are y'all serious? Especially in the South. They took it out. There's no more African American in the South. Like.
Well,
no.
I come from a philosophy, especially understanding history. I come from a philosophy that since the Industrial Revolution, societally, we've gone on an upward trajectory. It's not always perfect. You might have an era of Reconstruction and then the rise of the KKK, but overall, we're in a state of upward trajectory. Mm-hmm. And I see that even in the educational system because of the installation of philosophies like critical race theories into public education systems. And you're going to see a rise in a fight against that. But the fact that we now have this concept of critical race theory that we want to instill to our public education system is a sign of progress. I also believe that because of the internet, we have access to more real and honest information that goes beyond the textbooks that were formulated before the internet had its prominence. And a prime example of that is the Tulsa, Oklahoma City bombings from the 1920s. I never knew about that throughout the educational system, right? Mm-hmm. But I come out of college, I have a Facebook account, and because of what I follow, people were able to share this information with me. And now there are people 10, 15 years younger than me, maybe even 20 years younger than me, that now have access to information beyond their textbooks about something as significant as the Oklahoma City bombings. And I think that's just a sign of progress. Again, the educational system is flawed, but I think over time it'll get better.
Yeah.
Because we have access to more information.
That's true. Like, and I love it when you said that because, you have so many people that didn't even know about Central Park. Thank God for him.
Right, Seneca Village. Right.
For Black folks, I mean, I have to always give it to Tyreek. I have to appreciate him. He was in one genre, and then he just said, "Fuck it, I need to understand where Black people come from." Yeah. So and people go to Central Park, and they didn't teach that in school.
Nope.
Like it was a whole village. No, So you're right. It is. It's improving. It is flawed, but it's improving. And grateful for change and grateful for people with voices now that are standing up, saying things and sharing information. That's the biggest thing. Because
when society shares, it forces when society shares relevant information, it forces the institutions of that society to reflect information that the society is sharing. You know what I mean? I think that's why we learn about critical race theory now in public schools and elementary schools. It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nairon, why schools are improving?
I just explained it, Rich. It's because society is sharing more information. We know more. And because we know more, our institutions are going to reflect the knowledge that we've incurred on our own.
Let's hope. Because not everybody has to sign up.
So, how do we get to this point of improvement then?
The internet. I really think it's the internet. The internet connected us in a way that we've never been connected before, and ideas were able to be spread in a rapid pace, in a light speed pace, as opposed to before the age of the internet.
I agree with that to a certain degree because you gotta remember people still run the internet. So let's say, for example, search something on Wikipedia. I can go on Wikipedia right now and say Obama is Chinese from 1900s, and people say, "Oh shit, he is." You know, like
Yeah, that's the
how hard to believe everything is
curse of the internet.
And also, too, one of the main issues why the education is shit because a lot of textbooks and all that stuff come from guess what state? One of the most racist states out there, Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
That's very, very true.
right about our facts, telling us that hey, you know, Martin Luther King said this and that. Meanwhile, they don't know shit.
Yeah, they always harp back on that Martin Luther King quote. You know, what is it? It's better to be judged by the content of your skin than the color. It's better judge me by the content of my character, not the color of my skin. It's something you see in the Southern Belt all the time.
Yeah.
But but my contention is in the progressive states that we have in the United States, especially along the coastlines. You'll see this progress in education, and I think, unfortunately, red states are going to be the ones to slowly catch up to the truth. But eventually, I think we're going to get to a more honest space about who we are as Americans and what our history, you know, resulted in us being today.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's hope.
I'm an optimist. I'm an
there's
optimist.
always hope.
See the glass half full.
You have to have hope to live in this society. You have to have hope for me.
Yeah.
Because
Look what's happening now.
it could get real ratchet. I think it's just about the desire to know and to find that information. And honestly, the most powerful information is going to be in books. That's why there were book burnings to begin with. They started with us. That's why they started smashing statutes that represented and had the characteristics of us. Because if we continue to look outside of the marginalized information that they're providing to us, we would see the clues and we would get the message that we are a people of a higher calling. And so it is really about being vigilant in our research practice, because there were people that we, thought were a part of, the mission for us to reach our highest degree as a people, and they were agents of the same people trying to take us down. The FBI sent out agents into the Black Panthers to take them down that looked just like us. And I remember I was having a conversation with some sisters about Kwanzaa, and I was like, yeah, when you find out that was spearheaded by a white man, and they was like, what? And they were all, and they hadn't heard that yet. But it's like, yeah, there are things that they're going to put out there to confuse us about who we truly are, because they know if we realize who we are on a mass scale, then things will not be as they are. And that goes especially for the Black women. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah, Moors have a saying: "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world," and it's true.
Yeah, history is a man-made construction of the winners of conquer. Those that benefited from conquer are the ones that are going to dictate how we learn about their conquest. But I think we reached an age, especially with the phones that we have, that are cameras that expose the dark sides of the benefits of empire that we're in. I consider the United States to be an empire. When it exposes the dark side of the empire, right? When you have the George Floyds of the world, when you have, KKK members marching in the streets, when you have the exposure of Southern statues by Black conscious Americans that look at these Confederate statues and see the evil that it represents, it starts to create a snowball effect where people learn about these things. And when they learn about these things, they spread the knowledge. And when they spread the knowledge, society has to react.
Yeah, their time is up.
Yeah, because we've been turning a blind eye for too long. So now it's in our face. You can't ignore it now. It's in our face. Where you're having a white young man to ride into a predominantly Black neighborhood and decide to shoot up a supermarket. You can't hide that no more. Go ahead.
So there was a question in the comment. I believe it was for you. When we do learn about negative things that happen in Black history, does it retract us and trigger us when similar things happen in current times?
I believe so. I believe so. It does. I mean, look, and the sad part is this young man drove the day before to check out the supermarket. I live 3 hours from there. That's Buffalo. I live in Utica. So, I mean, and if you live up here, you'll know early in the morning, it is the seniors. They get out, they go, and because they're so used to it. They go to the supermarkets early in the morning. If you live in the South, in Atlanta, they have early specials for seniors. So he already knew what he was going to do. And you see in one of the videos where he was aiming his gun at the white dude, and the dude was like, "No, I'm white." He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then go on to shoot everybody else. You know, so it's in our face. All of this now we are exposed to. Does it make us? The problem that's scary and sad. We are so used to it, it doesn't bother us anymore.
Yeah, we numb.
Yeah, you know, we're used to it now. Oh, you hear about, oh, wow, they killed a black person. It's like, okay, because we're used to it. And it's sad. We shouldn't, instead of just being used to it, like, what are we going to do for it?
I don't think we're used to it. I have to disagree with you on that too, because of the last 2 or 3 years, especially with the exposure of George Floyd and how that caused a huge uprising amongst the masses. We're black, white, Asian, whatever. We all came together collectively to unify and protest about, systemic police brutality. And
Will Smith
TC,
slap.
TC.
I got you, TC. But Will Smith slap has been on in the internet so long. We ain't see too much of what went on in Buffalo and all of that. That was just for a little moment. But
Really? Maybe I'm looking at something different on my feed.
Hold on, Nyron. One mic, Nyron. One mic.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But we've all seen the Will Smith slap. That stayed on forever. People started dissecting it. You went on Ellen, and all these different stars came out, and they started talking, saying, "Oh my God, it's so heartening. Oh, I feel so bad." But here it is, a young white dude that had nigger written on his gun. Went in there and shot up those people, and it was only for a little bit of time. And we moved on. Then he shot up a school. Then they shot. Now they speak more about the mother going in saving her kids than they do about the dude that shot it up. So we all know. But I understand. Listen, we can agree to disagree, and it'll be okay. But okay, I'm sorry, TC. Go ahead.
No problem. The reason why I'm gonna counter that, because one, when George Floyd and all that stuff happening, we was on lockdown. We had nothing else better to do, first off. And also, too, it wasn't just our voices. And some other people of different cultures say, "Oh, shit, that happened to you guys? My bad, I didn't know this." So obviously the whole world is going to be awoke to that situation. And two, like, even before George Floyd, look at Trayvon Martin. He's one of the best examples. The homeboy was walking in the street with a bag of Skittles and a hoodie on his head. Got shot. Guess what his killer is right now? Chilling.
Doing interviews. I'm sorry.
He's like a celebrity. Zimmerman's like a celebrity. Kill a fat kid.
I'm sorry, he's still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, he's selling merchandise from that murder that he committed for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Years ago.
That's years ago. Off of that.
He's paid.
Yeah. Like, we
I hear
are
you.
numb to this. This been happening for so long. The Central Park incident with the black people that happened before. I could name a next one. Eric Garner.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. We numb to it. It's the same.
So I'm about to have Aquarius Queen come in. Is that okay?
Sure. Sure.
I wanted to make a statement. She actually just said it. Can you bring up the comment again? Because this is exactly what I was thinking about.
Okay, no problem.
There's a focus that so she said they do make sure that we know about these things through social media. So just having the understanding that the news networks are controlled by a select few that you could probably count on your hand. So if they have that control, the real question is, why are they showing us this? It's not because they care about us. It's not because they're concerned about our welfare and our well-being, and they want the world to know that Black people are victimized, but it's also a re-triggering. And I think she said something about that previously. So when you kind of understand epigenetics and how your ancestors' DNA, you take on their DNA, and so you also hold their memories within you, you do get triggered but also understanding that because those who are in rule of the world lack melanin which has the ability to process all things, whether it's positive or negative. That is why our emotions, that's why we feel things to a certain degree. So when you're not a being who can even tap into that energy and you need the energy, when you need the energy, you trigger the people who are going to give you the energy, and then you harness the energy for whatever you want to do. So it's a lot of different things that we truly don't even understand when we're being used to have rituals so that the same people who are dead beings in the society can still build in the society. They cannot build anything without us because they do not have the component to, I guess we can say, manifest or create. Because like you said, Ifa Abeyo, we are the most forgiving people on the planet. If these people had came to us and asked us to help them build a society, we would have done it. But they chose rape, they chose to steal, they chose deception, they chose trickery. So it just goes to show that that is their nature. So what is the trickery behind showing us images such as a white man going into a supermarket and pointing at a white man, and the white man says, "Oh, I'm white." So you don't have eyes to see that he's white. So you're a blind terrorist, because that, how did you saw black people but you couldn't see he was white. So he had to say on camera, "Oh, I'm white." It sounds it sounds staged. I'm
No,
keeping it
for real.
because that makes no sense to me. You saw niggas, but you didn't see the white person, and the white person had to say, "Oh, I'm white." Trigger, it's pure trigonometry. If I can make a word for it.
Good question.
So it's just like, let's be aware of what we are observing, because anything we take into our eyes, anything we put into our mouth, anything we allow into our spirits, it can take over us. You know, it can take over us. And so it's like, I feel like it is, once we realize and come to terms with the fact that the media is controlled and that it's with an intention, and that we have become desensitized, because that's what the video gamers are about. You playing video games, you shooting people, you think nothing of it. It's normal to some degree. So there is a desensitization because it happens so perpetually, and we feel helpless as a people to that. But Marcus Garvey was trying to get us to realize that we were the only people without a nation. If you go to the Asians and they need to militarize, they have one. If you go to the whites and they need to militarize, they have one. We're the only people that do not have that capacity to protect ourselves. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like we're not doing anything, but we don't have the military science to understand what needs to be done as a collective. And that's what 19 Peace talks about. So yeah, it's a lot of things that we were educated, but it wasn't for us to really protect and provide for ourselves. We were a self-sustaining people at one point, and now we're relying on the same system that kills us.
Yeah, because they taught us that not to be entrepreneurs, but to work for other people, to be at hand, to do all of that,
So
it's all mental brainwashing.
So I'd like to respond to both TC and Miss Wisdom. TC first, I will agree with you that the pandemic did expedite the social reaction that we did see. But I think just like how before the pandemic, you was expected that you would work 5 days a week in an office, and post pandemic, the workforce has a change of demand. I think the same goes for racial contention in this country. I think the pandemic has given us the opportunity to at least start embarking on a lasting impact on how we face race relations, right? Because of George Floyd, you had these protests. Because of those protests, you have CRT. Because of CRT, you have a bunch of people exposing themselves as to why they would want to fight back on the idea of introducing the real history of America to the youth of America. So I think it was a ripple effect. The pandemic was a ripple effect on both the economic and workforce side, and also on the social side. And in regards to you, Phonetic Wisdom, when you mentioned about why these big corporations are now exposing Black trauma, I think I don't think they're doing it because they want to perpetuate this. They want to trigger us. I think they're doing it because they don't have a choice. Because we have our phones, we have podcasts. We're going to expose the truth. And if you're a media company and you want to survive, you're going to have to either go with the times or wither away and die. If people are going to show George Floyd on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then you go to CNN and they're not going to show what happened to George Floyd, CNN becomes irrelevant. The people are going to question the relevancy of CNN in the first place. They don't have a choice if we're going to be the ones to expose what's wrong with this country. And the reason why I mentioned podcasts is because podcasts are now individual systems that subvert the need for big media companies like, I don't know, AM radio. And we can have discussions like this about what we really think is what's going on in the country. And if they want to survive, either they're going to have to join in and face the reality that we all see, or they're going to wither away and die like floppy disks and CDs. They don't have a choice in the matter.
And you're not wrong, but my point is that there's always going to be a hidden agenda there. Just like how my good sis said that the slap of Chris Rock from Will Smith is trending more than George Floyd. They understand the algorithm of our minds because they were the same one that programmed it that way. So yeah, all right, now we're gonna give y'all a little something today, and it's gonna be something different tomorrow. And it's that's how fast that we, not you or us here, because obviously we're on a different frequency, but a lot of people do not have that attention span to realize how the narrative was flipped that fast that their head spins and they don't even realize that there was a massacre last week in Africa, and now they're focused on something that happened on the Grammys for paid actors. These are paid actors. Yeah. And so it's all paid acting. That's what I think about when I turn on the TV. Because if we're gonna say at some point, oh, the television is telling lies to your vision, then why does it change? Because it's the news. It's all on TV. There's over 1,000 channels, but you yourself are the original channel. What are you watching yourself?
Yeah,
I was boss.
How come I didn't get bars, Rich? What? I didn't say any bars? I thought I gave a lot of bars.
You did. You did. Let's give that around his feet.
Not wrong. I'm gonna give you your flowers.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But I'm gonna say this, Nyron. You must forgot what I said on the last episode. I said the news is not. The news is not to tell you to tell the truth. That's what I said last episode. The news is meant for you to make money off of your emotions. That is what the news are for. The news is not meant for you to tell the truth. The news is not meant to be like, oh, well, we care about this, but no, they care about making money through your misery. I said that in the last episode.
Well, Rich, I two things could be true at once. That's true. I agree with that about that. We live in a capitalist society. These news outlets are owned by capitalists. Their objective is to make money, and nothing can generate more money than triggering emotions. That is absolutely true. But what I think is also true is that if they don't report the real news that we all see independent of them, they won't survive regardless. I think because we have our own media outlets on our phones, because our phone can be our own news source, we kind of are forcing these media outlets to tell the truth. And if they don't, they'll die and they'll stop making money altogether. So I think what Miss Wisdom was saying was right. Like they are going to try to do and expose everything they can to subvert the truth. But as we become more independent on what we share amongst ourselves, I think the truth will eventually overtake those subversion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can
Okay,
second that. Yeah.
A quick
Just
question
once
with
we
Buffalo
realize the
shooting.
mind control, I think we'll just be in a better space to accept what's real from what's fake.
Back to what you were saying earlier, Poetic, about the Buffalo thing real quick. Wasn't the FBI behind also the shooting? Like they knew he went to the gun store and stuff like that?
They know everything. That's why it's just like, for me, there's no way that this could have been a total surprise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like certain things, just like when you really break it down, it doesn't make full sense. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And like, I didn't watch the video. I'm not watching that. But my kids did talk about it because I work with kids in the high school, and it was something that was on their heart. So, we spoke about it, and the kids did say like, yeah, he was wearing the camera. It's like, you was wearing the camera like it's a video game. That's how it sounded to me.
It looked like Call of Duty. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But he wrote everything
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
He said it.
Yeah.
And it was planned.
It's
And
premeditated.
then he was also a part of all these groups. So,
Yeah.
Even the young dude that shot up the elementary school, he was writing people saying, this is what I'm going to do. And this is, to the young girl and all of that. So, and because the FBI agent, he was the one that talked to the dude that was in Buffalo. So, I mean, we also have to be mindful of where our kids are getting information, where they're going, how influence. It's all about likes. So now you got to think of the ripple effect of the copycat, because this guy got all this exposure and this one got all this exposure. So now what's next? You see the pattern. You had the supermarket, the school, the hospital. So it's like a
Don't
pattern.
forget the subway also.
The subway. You
Yeah.
know, which, that didn't even get a long airplane. Once again, Will Smith slapped around the world. After that dude got arrested, that was it. That was it. We don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
And and then the crazy part, all the cameras was broke. Serious. What?
It's terrible. And it does inspire other people to be just destructive. It inspires destruction. And why is nobody going on the news giving affirmations? Like, why aren't we having a meditation session?
That doesn't sound. And
you know what I'm saying? Like,
you have to think about the summer. The summer, now you have to think about a lot of programs got cut. A lot of people are still scared of monkeypox. Now you got Legionnaire disease in the Bronx. I mean, like, all these things are happening. So what are you going to do with your kids this summer? Parents still got to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, they're so fast. They don't even try to solve the issue. They just tell you, like, hey, we got bulletproof backpacks. They're on sale now. Buy some.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's amazing how many times they try to pretend that they're offering a solution, and it's really a 360, because it takes you back to exactly where you was at.
Gas is getting ready to be $6.
I felt robbed. I told my parents I got robbed at the gas station, because why did I put $80 in my tank and it wasn't even full?
Yo, talk to him.
Every time they come up with a fake war, the gas price go up.
There you go. Look, and we had this conversation, and it was like, what are you going to say or do for Ukraine? I said, listen, no shade, but Ukraine, what are we doing here? What is going on here?
No, I'm sorry.
How do you send billions of dollars over there and we're suffering here?
Yes.
The amount of money that they gave to Ukraine could fix homelessness in the United States.
You ever see?
And I feel like that's another part of the mind trick for us to not help ourselves or to search within ourselves, but to always be putting outward. And just the realizing, more and more that America, the corporation that it is, it's always putting everything out. We have to go help. We haven't helped ourselves. And it even goes back to the spiritual aspect, that we have a fear of going inside of ourselves to see ourselves and to see what is truly there that needs to be rectified, but always on this external factor. And it's one big mind. It's a big mind game.
The reality is, when you said for spirituality, because for a year and 7 days, we don't look in mirrors. We have to go internally and see our beauty. So there's no makeup being done. You can't put none of that on. You just natural, regular. And I remember seeing Diamond Cash when I was in all white. Like, you can't look in mirrors. You can't put on makeup. You can't put on smell good stuff. You got to just wash up and just be you. Don't want all the white. And when I say all white, all white, everything white. You got to sleep in white. You have to sleep on white. Everything is white. You can't get your hair done. Everything is covered. Everything is, if you have a watch, it better be white. Everything must be white. So now you have to look in yourself. And that's when you see who you are, the beauty of within. So it's a lot, but it is scary. These I'm not gonna say scary times. Like I said, healing is not pretty. Hopefully we can say that these are the healing times, but we just got to get through the ugly. Go ahead, baby.
So there's a question for you. Yeah, there's a question for you. So I've noticed Oshun's relations to other Isha differs depending on the spiritual practices. Ifa, Janers, Centra, Opa.
Okay, so
she gave out the names though.
Cynthia, Voodoo, Palo, Oyo, and Lukumi all work with Orishas differently. Well, in Voodoo, they don't work with Orishas. They work with Luaus. In Palo, they work with Nikisis, Zabanda, Siatarayo. So these are all different. They're not all the same. Work with the Orishas differently. How does your practice differ? What rich traditions do you have that strengthens your connection to the Orisha? Well, like I said, I practice Lukumi, but I am scratched in Palo. So in Palo is more of an ancestor, more of Egon, and it's two different things. That's like the best way I can sum it up is you have in the church way, you have Catholic, you have Pentecostal, you have Baptist. So they're all different. And it's not the same. In Voodoo, you have Papa Legba. To some, when you look at him in a picture, he looks like Saint Lazarus. And hi, you confused? Okay, let me break it down. I'm sorry. Because he's like, I'm looking at him, and you're right. His face says everything like he's confused. Okay, Voodoo is.
I'm gonna have to cover my camera.
Let's do it normal. Voodoo is. You have New Orleans voodoo and you have Haitian voodoo, right? They work with the luau's. It's not Orisha. That is something different. The same way you go into a Catholic church, you're not going to be hollering like you do in the Baptist, saying, praise God, doing all. You're going to hear, oh, Lord. That is a difference. It is a different thread. You cannot mix them all together. This is not gumbo. Everyone has, to make it more simple, there are 1,000 ways to get to the Creator. We all have our different way because we cannot mix them all together. There's no Oshun in Voodoo. There's no Oshun in Follow. Oshun is not there. Oshun is in Ifa, Lukumi, and you can't even put them as the same. And it's sad because people try to do that. They'll be like, oh, well, if you're in Palo Mayumbe is from Congo. She said, Ogun Place, no James. He will check you. Yes, he will. Blessings to my father. And Palo is older. The beauty of Palo is it's oral. It is passed down. You're not going to find a lot of books on Palo. It's more of a passed down oral tradition. And Lukumi and Ifa and Voodoo, you can go online, you can get books. There's always books, there's always YouTube, there's always Palo is very more, you got to be in it to win it. But the one thing I will say about Palo, it's more family based. You are not going to get your family. You know, how I was taught with my tata, you don't go against your family. So family comes together. It is more family based because it's older. So that's the best way I can explain it. But okay. Nara, hi baby, how you doing? I just love your face.
I'm alive.
I'm here. He be giving it. Oh my God, I love you. Because he be giving it like I got 90,000 questions. What the hell you said, lady?
It's this face right here.
What? Yeah, like give it to me.
I want to ask my two questions.
Go ahead.
For our audience, I feel like because you said that you explained this on the or on the very first episode, but I feel like they need to hear it again.
Mhm.
Can you please talk about the plagiarism of the Marvel characters?
Of
It's
Thor
coming out of
and
nowhere.
of
Hold on.
Thor and them, of how they, well, bless is the Stanley. Because I think somewhere along the line he had some blackness up in him, or he was up in somebody black. I'm serious, because when you think of Thor, when you think of Superman, when you think of all these people, and even with the Greek gods, all of that he did with Odin and all of that, you know, they did copy when you look at it. Because Ifa says, which is so beautiful, Ifa speaks of every religion, but every religion never speaks of Ifa. Because it's old, and it's been copied on so many different versions and so many different levels. And instead of embracing and learning, people just automatically dumb it down where it is demons. It is the devil. You shouldn't talk to your ancestors. You should not learn about the different paths of different deities, or everything just has to be Christian based. Jesus is the end, or be, you know, the lace front God. You got to make sure you worship the lace front God, because if not, his hair be laid. Come on, his hair be laid. But everything is Jesus. So it's just so sad. It's so sad because the truth was so hidden, but yet and still it was right there in our face the whole time. When you think about it,
it's very intentional. It's very intentional. And do you ever think of, because I had this like come into my spirit recently where it was like, because I was raised in a Christian home, but I'm not Christian, and I would think like they always speak about not idolizing any gods before, you know, like the supreme being, which I guess would be considered Oludumare, like you said. But I'm like, then why is all the focus on Jesus? Is that not a form of idolatry? Because there were so many other, I guess you could say, characters in the story that contributed different, you know, aspects or characteristics to what we all need to, you know, abide to as people of a high spiritual calling that are necessary. But the focus was always on Jesus, whose name could be Horus.
But first of all, it was no J's back then, so you know.
Exactly. So it's like, and I'm not gonna go too crazy, but just the change of the names, and when you go back, like Jesus is also Zeus. So just like, I don't want to get too crazy, but how do you feel?
I got in trouble in church. I asked 2 questions and they got me. From Africa, went all type of spirituality right from there too. But they did. It is the birthplace. It's no shade, but I got in trouble because I asked, how does Adam and Eve have belly buttons if they were created? Because you had a belly button, I mean that cord had to be connected to somebody. Then I asked the number 1 question: why don't we learn about Lilith? Oh my God, I was
you fucked them up. Why'd you do that, Ifa? Why'd you do that? You brought up Lilith in the church, the first woman.
Yes, I did. Yeah, they did. They really did. They got on me and they told my mother, and you know, yeah, I did. Because I was like, okay, what happened to Lilith? So, like I said, it's so sad the way history and the way religion, especially spirituality, is taken out of context and it is put as something that's wicked and evil. The only thing you would know is don't do this, don't do that, don't do this because you're going to hell. You were born in sin. But didn't that man jump on the cross and die for all our sins? Why we still got sin? Why we gotta still be born with sin?
That don't never make sense.
I was like, no.
The story never made sense.
Yeah. You know, if Adam and Eve was the only 2 people on the planet, and then they had Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel and he went out and married somebody. Where all these other people come from? Because in school they taught me 1 + 1 is 2, and then you add 2 more, that's 4. You take away 1, that's 3. Well, you get away. So the math wasn't adding up. So that's why I always stayed in trouble. I stayed in trouble because nobody could explain it at all. At all. They would sit there and say, because when you ask questions, the first thing they tell you, shh, you don't question God.
Which God?
Why? But see, and that's another thing. And they when you look at history, they thought it was more beneficial to give offerings to one God instead of all these other ones. So let's start bringing that money home instead of you spending it to this one and this one and this one. Just worship one, and the rest y'all paying taxes. Let's be honest.
And then you serve a jealous God, so that must mean that there's more than one. If this is the
Olokun
jealous,
yeah, that's true. See, so and it was right there in plain sight. See, that's crazy. Olodumare and Olokun described as that's true. That's true. And matter of fact, because I'm sitting right here next to Olokun. So, and in certain parts they see him as a woman, and in certain parts they see him as a man. But it all depends on the house that you come. Olokun. So, because I'm looking at Nairon, so I love you. Olokun is an Orisha. But a Orisha that's very old and lives in the bottom of the ocean. There is a saying. The only one that knows at the bottom of the ocean is Olodumare and Olokun. Now, let me break it down to you, Nairon, because I love you. We receive Olokun because Olokun is at the bottom and it gives you stability. We need stability in our life. We don't need to be all over the place. We need to be stable, not only in our family, in our homes, in our jobs, in our relationships. Anything you do, you need stability. You need to know that I am stable. This foundation, this floor is good. So this is why we receive a locum for stability.
Okay.
Got it? All right. Because
Got
I
it.
don't want you to be looking like, I don't get that. So, I make sure I do the best I can. Okay.
no, thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Phonetic wisdom.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so this is gonna be my last question. Then y'all can take it away.
Go ahead.
So, why is it important to greet each other as affirmations? For example, how we did earlier. Peace. I am a reflection of you. Why is that so important?
For me, because it changes the energy when you see someone. When I walk in a room, like yesterday, I had to run to the doctor, and everybody in there was they looked like they just did not want to be there, for real. And when I walked in, the first thing the girl said is, "Hi, how are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm necessary like you are." And it became a domino effect. She said, "Girl, what'd she say?" The other girl in the other room came out. "What'd she say?" She said, "She's necessary." She said, "Oh," I said, "We all need to know that we're needed." And it changed the energy of the room. I can walk in a room with a bunch of females and just with some people can say, "Oh no, that's not it," but it is. Women, when they get together, it's this, I'm the biggest dog in here, I got to be the diva or whatever. But when you start calling everybody beautiful in the room, it kind of just makes everyone on one level. And it changes the narrative. So, because it lets you know you're not better than no one else. We're all here on the same accord. We can agree to disagree respectfully. You come with yours, I come with mine, and we embrace it. You know what I'm saying? So it is. That's why I do it, because it changes the whole energy of the room.
I like that. The only words I don't like is when they go, "Hey queen, hey king," because first of all, in terms of royalty, there can really only be one queen and king. And secondly, because of slavery, I don't know if my ancestors were really kings or queens. They could have been peasants for all I know.
This is the ghetto part in me. When people do that, no, for real talk. My son and all them be like, "Ma, I hate you right now." When people go, "Hey queen, hey king," I be like, "Ooh, they got an EBT card in their back pocket." For real, that's the first thing that comes in my head. For real, I'm dead serious. It does. So that's why I'd rather just be like, "Hey Puddin', hey sweetie, hey beautiful." But I understand what they're saying, because it's this brother, his name is Benu. He always says it's better to think yourself as royalty, because you'll feel good about yourself, because you don't know what the other person may be feeling or may be going, and maybe them calling them a king or a queen might uplift their day. So I understand why he would say it, but in the back of my head, I'd be sitting there saying, "Child, she got an EBT card."
I'm crying. I cannot with you.
Yeah.
I think
I do.
I definitely disagree with you. I definitely
think it's just a matter of wanting people to see that they are not, I think we have been for a great deal indoctrinated to look at ourselves as the lowest of the low. So I generally see it as an intention to remind each other that as melanated beings who are naturally of a spiritual calling. We are a royal people. So I do understand what you're saying. Iran was like, well, maybe I didn't come from that. But also, do you really know? Did you do the research to go back into the generations to find out that you were or were not? And then you're just talking about your earthly bloodline. What about your cosmic bloodline? So
That's
it's
too much. That's too much calculus for me. Just refer to me
Oh,
by
Lord.
name.
You gotta love him. You just gotta love him. I love you. I'm serious. I love you. You just gotta
One
love
day
him.
he's honest. That's one day.
Yeah.
Iran knows
Okay.
I
We
think
need that.
but I
We
accept
need
that.
No, he doesn't hold
need
back.
that. We need that. We need that. That's the only way we can move forward. We have to accept everybody in their totality, everyone. And baby, I accept you, all of you, every part of you. I love you. I'm serious. I love you. You will keep me on my toes. I don't drink, but I will take a drink after hanging with your ass for about 4 hours.
I'm saying though, I accept Iran, but he can't hug me.
Yeah,
For real.
yeah. I tried to give her a hug. She doesn't know me yet for a hug. I was like, that's wild. That's wild.
Oh, give him an air hug. Do this.
I let him into my event. That was a big deal for me.
To be like, give him air hugs.
I
But
will.
I
I
love
will
y'all.
say the
I love
food. The
y'all.
food was delicious at the event. I do appreciate the food
Yeah.
and the strippers. It was nice.
All right. All
They're
right.
dancers.
All
The
right.
dancers. Sorry, the
He-
They didn't
dancers.
strip.
He got to
You
do it
can't
his
call
way.
strippers.
They didn't strip, but they were
No, I
dancing. I
don't know.
appreciated the choreography. I appreciated the
Okay, yeah.
choreography.
You
That's
gotta
it.
watch your words, Nyron.
He got to do it his way. He got to do it his way.
Was
At least
that
you know. At least you
They're
know.
aerial pole artists.
Was
But
that
I
the-
Aerial pole artists.
understand what everything I do is classy, baby. Okay.
They-
I don't
Right,
think
but-
strippers are classless, but but either way,
I've
they
seen some
were
People
strippers.
throwing money at them. Were they on the pole throwing money on them?
choreographed. There was an exchange of dollars. I did see that fly around.
You
Hence
gotta
my
pay for
confusion.
services, baby. Ain't no free shows happening. You
They
ain't coming
were
for free.
right. We're right.
I appreciated the choreographed dancers, the food, the music, the poetry. It was all Afrocentric. I didn't see a white face in sight. No, that's a lie. I
Actually,
did see
there
a
were
couple.
2 white faces. I wish there were more because we need our reparations, but it's okay.
That's right. You know what? They should have been the ones giving out the dollar bills, and they should have given at least every single black person there at least $1.
Well, you can spearhead that narrative next time. I don't know where they went.
I'll be I'll be the reparations auditor at the next event.
And
So
I will.
before I leave, because I have to do this other
Yeah,
event, I love y'all.
Yeah.
But do you have a question or anything?
Because we about to close out. It's she has to go, y'all. So
Yeah.
is there any other questions we have before we
Well,
gotta
I'm
go?
always on Facebook. I'm always on TikTok, and I'm always on.
What? How can they reach you? Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook is Ifa Abeyo. Instagram is Ifa Abeyo 53. TikTok is Ifa Abeyo. On Fridays, I do gather around the table at night at 9 o'clock. We talk of spirituality. Conversations with Ifa Abeyo is always on Fridays now as well, on TikTok and Instagram now, because on Facebook sometimes they want to put me in jail. I stay in Facebook jail. No, I do. Because I'm not the one to keep quiet. Like now, I'm ready to go over to Facebook because I do Sunday's Best, and Sunday's Best is giving a platform to up and coming readers, up and coming spiritualists. So I give them that. I share my platform with them, and they don't pay or anything. They just get out, do free readings for people. So you get in the comments, you ask a question, they read you. So, and it opens them up. It also, and kind of take away their fear. So, and I love making sure everyone gets to sit at the round table and eat. It's not just me. So, because I'm not for everybody. Trust me on that. Oh, definitely. But I love y'all, and y'all can always find me. I'm always on some social media platform. Definitely, but I will be taking a hiatus because I'm going to enjoy this summer. I am going.
Live life.
I'll be in Detroit next week teaching, and I go all over and teach. I'll be in North Carolina. I'll be in Atlanta. Hopefully, if my sister get all the paperwork together, we'll be in Africa. So you know, I do go out and teach spirituality. I don't teach about Orisha, but I do teach spirituality, more hoodoo and root work. So I do teach that. But I
Let's
love
go.
y'all. Thank you.
I love you too. Definitely.
Yeah,
Any final
all love,
thoughts?
man.
Any final thoughts?
Many
Or no?
loves returned.
Huh?
I
Any
said
final
many loves
thoughts?
returned.
Well, listen, y'all.
Rich, you go first.
No.
My final thought
Of
before
course, we gotta give
I leave is love each other. Like, first love yourself, though, because love stands for lots of vital energy, and as long as you have it, everybody else can have it. So definitely, remember that love stands for lots of vital energy. As long as you got it, everybody else will have it. But I love y'all. Y'all be good.
Go.
Thank you.
Let's go. You see what I mean? Yeah, she had to go, y'all. So that's the conclusion of the podcast. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. Phonetic wisdom as always. Thank you. But yeah, that's the ending of our episode.
Okay.
All right. See you guys later.
Listen, love you.